So as Sergeant Bailey and I were talking just a few minutes ago, Trooper Willis Moore and I got in this unmarked patrol, what do you call this, an unmarked patrol car?
An unmarked patrol car.
Okay, and we've been driving all around the Lookout Valley area into parts of Chattanooga proper, looking for distracted drivers, as you say, because our focus today, Trooper Moore, is on texting and driving, but the truth is you're focused on distracted driving.
That's correct, distracted driving. And for me, that can be anything from putting on lipstick, makeup, eating, reading a book, whatever it is that's taking your attention from the road, that's going to be distracted driving.
Sergeant Bailey and I had asked him if he knew where Tennessee ranked in terms of the other 50 states with distracted driving incidences. We hoped for #1. Sadly, we are #1, right? But for the wrong reasons.
That's correct. We're #1 for crashes involving distracted driving. That's as of today that I saw on handsfreetn.com. We are #1 in the nation for distracted driving related crashes.
But we want to report to you truthfully this morning, you were a little bit surprised, and happily so, as we drove around multiple times. You didn't see that many problems.
That's correct. Encouraging, I believe, to see people really focusing on the road, to see the phone holders, phones in the holder, people doing what they needed to do, hands on the steering wheel.
So what we did notice, you mentioned people putting on makeup. We saw that.
We did.
We also saw a couple of people, sometimes you couldn't quite get up to get the video, but just holding their phones. The law is that your phone is not supposed to be on your body in any way.
That's correct. That's correct. It does not need to be on your person whatsoever. It needs to be in the mount or in the cup holder somewhere where it's not going to be a distraction to you.
So what is it that you're looking for? I know that we don't want to give away the trade secrets because you don't want people to anticipate why an officer might pull them over, but what do you watch for to be on the lookout for a distracted driver?
The first thing that may catch my eye is the driving in the lane. Are you weaving? Are you crossing over the fog line? That'll get my attention. As I get up next to you, where are your eyes? Do I see your eyes? Do they keep dropping down to your lap or elsewhere? And then where are your hands? Are both hands on the steering wheel? Is one down and your eyes are also dropping? All those indicators to me is distracted driving. There's something else going on. And most of the time, because we drive Explorers mostly, we can really see into the vehicle what's going on.
The height is your friend.
That's correct.
So when people, when you do pull someone over, are they often quick to say, "I am so sorry, officer, I just wasn't even thinking"?
A lot of them say they do apologize, or that they weren't thinking about it, and a lot of them will say, "Oh, I didn't know," or "I'm not from this state, I didn't know that that wasn't appropriate here."
I hadn't thought about that because our bordering states, Georgia certainly is hands-free driving. I believe Alabama is. Are there very many states left that are not?
I don't know for a fact, but I would think that there probably aren't many.
So it might just be a story.
It could be a story, and also it's no excuse because on every entryway into this state, there's going to be a sign that says hands-free state, and they're going to be throughout the county as well.
Have you ever come upon an accident that involved texting and driving and you go home with a broken heart?
I have come across crashes that have involved texting and driving. The results usually are not great. If they're there to say what they were doing, obviously they live to tell the story, but that's not the case for everyone.
When you are on the roads, talk a little bit about, in this day and age of officer safety on a lot of people's minds, what is in your mind? You and I were talking and you said you can't ever know what kind of a car you're walking up to when you pull somebody over.
Safety is key. You never know the car that you're walking up to, who's in that vehicle, where they're coming from, what has just happened. And so every time you step out of that car and we put on this hat and we walk up to that car, we don't know if that's going to be the last time that we've opened that door. We really don't. When we're sitting in that vehicle issuing a citation, we don't know if that was going to be the last time in case someone failed to move over and we're going to get struck, and then that's the day for us. We never know, and there's a lot of unknown about this job, so we like to know what we can know and handle that.
I'm old enough to remember when tinted windows became a thing, and I remember a long time ago it was kind of a frowned upon feature in a car. You still aren't really a big fan of them, are you?
Not a big fan. In Tennessee, where it gets so hot, I know people want to have the cooler car and get in there, and it just looks better from a look standpoint. But it really is a safety issue for law enforcement officers all across this state stopping vehicles.
Distracted driving, you mentioned eating can be distracted driving, putting on makeup. I can't imagine someone reading a book, but I guess you've seen it all. What about speed, to go too slow versus too fast?
Also, that will cause a traffic hazard, too slow or too fast. You really have to keep in mind what the flow of traffic is, and you don't want to be the one that's standing out because you're going to be the one to cause an issue.
Do people, do you think, fully realize how quickly texting and driving, specifically, that's our focus today, can get out of hand? Or have they done it for so long, they continue to think that they're going to be okay always?
I would think they probably think they're going to be okay always. It is probably, in a lot of ways, second nature to them, so they don't think that what's going on, that it's going to affect their driving. But as I mentioned to you before, that little bit of time while you're texting and driving, you're probably decreasing your speed, or you maybe you've increased your speed because you're not paying attention to the speedometer. Next thing you know, traffic has stopped, you've rear-ended someone, or you tap on your brakes, the person behind you was on their phone, they've rear-ended you, and now we have a real issue with crashes.
Trooper Willis Moore, thank you for the safe driving with us today, for letting us have a bird's eye view from what your world is like on a regular basis.
You're very welcome.
And thank you for the service to the state.
You're very welcome.
So keep your phone away from your hands when you're driving in Tennessee or anywhere else for that matter. We're back with much more of our Never Texting and Drive Day here on 3+U in just a minute. And we're back out live. I tell you, that was a really interesting morning to ride along with him. And he told us off camera that if we had chosen a different area of town, we were down near the highway patrol, not quite so trafficked. Had we been out East Brainerd way, he said we would have had to stop the car every 5 minutes.
Well, you still saw the makeup being put on.
Right.
You still saw the person with a phone in their hand.
Right.
For me, it was interesting. On the road.
Exactly. For me, it was interesting that I can now identify the SUV that they're in. It's kind of a silver vehicle, silver GMC model. And when they pull up beside me, of course, I don't text and drive anyway.
Yeah.
But I thought that was very informative that they have enough, visual to see that going on.
Well, and I'm going to say this about him too, and I don't think it's inappropriate for me to share this. He was not trying to get anybody.
Right.
He really was not. He was just, and he kind of had a sixth sense about him. Sometimes he would see a car that would drive a little bit erratically. Sometimes there was one car that was kind of weaving a little bit, and he kind of watched them, but there was nothing there to prove, so he let him go.
Julie, I jotted down a few things that struck me.
Yeah.
Sergeant Bailey, when he said, when he's observing vehicles, that he really recognizes no difference between texting and driving in somebody who is DUI because of the weaving and swerving. He also said it's a myth that teens text and drive more than adults. I think he sees everybody texting and driving.
Right. And
so those things stuck out.
We're going to check in with Judge Russell Bean in a minute, and he was sharing kind of a similar statistic from me of what he sees in traffic court. So the crowd is growing here. The Never Text and Drive prize wheel is spinning. We're not sure how much money they've given away yet, but we've got somebody lucky who's feeling good. They're spinning the wheel. You come on down and join us too.
Big money on the wheel. Big money. Come on, Benjamin.
It is Never Text and Drive Day.
Here we go. Here it comes. Y'all so close to...
We're back. Judge Russell Bean when we come back.